Good afternoon, everyone. Hope all is well. And I'm 19 minutes late, but we're here. We're supposed to start at 2 o'clock, but it's all good. So, we are right now going to be going live with a gentleman who is into crypto investment, into gold investment, into financial investments and other alternative investments, and we are going to ask him the question of what is the best investment to go for right now in 2020. So we've got Gurmeet has joined us here. I'm loving the chair.
You like it?
I love it.
It's made out of cardboard. No, it's a real deal. It's made in Indonesia. I'd like to say I made it myself, but I didn't. Probably some Indonesians in weather that's more warmer than right now.
Yeah.
They can't. So thank you, Indonesians, who make it, man. How you doing, Murtaza?
Good. And yourself?
I'm very well, man. I'm enjoying this beautiful weather in Essex. Trying to stay cool, but it's not happening, man.
It's not happening. You don't have an outdoor pool with the house or indoor pool?
No, I've got a pond.
Okay, you can't dive in there, can you?
I don't think I want to do that, man. Thank you so much for bringing me on.
No, it's a pleasure to have you on in terms of sharing the knowledge in what you do in your professional career and spreading the positivity with us today. So thank you so much for joining me.
No, you're welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Gurmeet, before we start, if you can introduce yourself as to who you are and what you do.
All right, wonderful. Well, my name is Gurmeet Combo. I am what you may call an alternative investment strategist, and I'm also a financial protection strategist as well. Why am I a financial protection strategist? I come from a business family background. My father used to sell garment machinery in the East End of London.
Okay.
The big garment machinery. And I was working in the shop, in the business from the age of 9, because Asians like to use child labor, especially their own.
especially when it's free, right?
Of course it's free, man, isn't it? Why would I pay somebody else to get your kids? But it was, so I've been in the business environment from a very young age. I got into real estate, what I consider to be very late. And that was around 2001, 2002.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to get into real estate in the 90s when property was really cheap. I can cite examples of East London, the Forest Gate, Manor Park area. So these are postcodes where I grew up.
I mean, before we get into the nitty gritty of your world, you know, I want to take you a few years back into your childhood, and you mentioned that you were working from the age of 9 in your father's shop. But you know, when we're growing up as kids, right, and we're going to school, college, university, and we see a lot of careers in front of us. Obviously, your father being a businessman, you had that sort of aspiration or inspiration, I would say, from him to become a businessman. But when we're growing up, we have all these aspirations in our mind to become maybe an architect, an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer. Sometimes we even have, because of the Asian backgrounds, we have that peer pressure from our parents that you got to do this, son. You got to be a lawyer. You got to be an accountant, all that kind of stuff. So when you were growing up, what was it that you aspired to be? Was it to be a businessman, or was it something totally different that you wanted to do from what your father was doing?
It was actually to be an astronaut, but then I found out I'm scared of heights.
But as an astronaut, you're in the rocket, right? So you're not like you're not seeing down or up or whatever. But it's good to know that you're the first one to come on here and say that I wanted to be an astronaut. So
I did indeed, man. That was back in 1981, and then I saw ET, and I was like, I don't want to meet these aliens. I don't want nothing to do with him. I ain't bumping into him, man. Forget that. I'm happy on earth. No, I always knew that I'd have my own business because I'd seen the rewards that you can get from starting your own business. I'd also seen the other side of it, which are the challenges.
Of course.
And you can't just switch off at 5 o'clock.
You can't. It's 24/7.
You're always working. Well, it's pretty awesome. So it was always going to be my own business. I went through university, did the whole got a degree and a party. And
What did you get your degree in?
I did it in business admin.
Okay.
Which really,
it's just
it was free at the time. Nothing gave us money to go to university.
Yeah.
But then, like I was saying, I had the opportunity to get into real estate in the mid-90s. I got in what I consider to be pretty late. 2001, 2002. I got my training at a firm of chartered surveyors. I was very lucky. That meant that, and the firm of chartered surveyors, they're based in Walthamstow, East London, a family-run business. They've been chartered surveyors in the Whitechapel area, in Hackney, and in East London since 1937.
Okay.
Very well-established company. I learned the right way. I started off in industrial property, so my main patch was the industrial site.
Like warehouses and manufacturing factories and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, it's actually now occupied by the London Olympic site and Westfield.
Wow.
So
that was all industrial sort of warehouses, factories, and all that kind of stuff. Wow.
Full of rats, man. So did all the viewings. That's where I grew my baby teeth. And I was very lucky because the company I was working with, it gave me access to the LDA. The LDA are the London Development Authority. So I had access and I saw plans of how the Olympic Stadium was going to be looking at and the whole Thames estuary in terms of the development that is going on. But as far back as 2002. So this was all blueprints and all models. So I had an indication. So I was thinking, why am I working for somebody else? I can see the potential happening on my doorstep, right?
Okay.
I've got to open up my own business, as Asians like to do, right? We like to start open our own business, right?
Absolutely.
So I opened up my own property company. At that time, overseas property was a big thing. Dubai was just opening up, right? People had been buying in Spain and Portugal holiday homes for quite a while.
Yeah.
The US.
Cyprus, Greece, all that kind of stuff.
All that business, they were there for quite a while, right? But then
it was the Asian market. Asian market.
That started coming up. There was developments going in. My heritage, I'm born in Whitechapel, East London, but my heritage is Indian.
Yep.
Indian started building brand new cities rather than spending money on the infrastructure and developing the old cities. I was like, forget that. We're going to build brand new cities. So a lot of opportunities there. Yep. Malaysia, developments cropping up. Singapore, and then Eastern Europe, right? What you could buy, the Eastern Bloc opened up, and cities like Prague, you know, amazing architecture in these cities to rival London, to rival Barcelona, but at a fraction of the price.
Exactly.
Sofia in Bulgaria. So Eastern Europe opened up. And
so you were basically sitting in East London selling properties on the east side of Europe?
No. I started off with my own agency here in the east of London.
Okay.
Commercial residential properties around 2004, once I learned the ropes.
Okay.
2005, we started doing overseas properties, and we got greedy.
Okay.
Very greedy. Refinanced up a lot, and when the crash happened in 2008, took a very heavy hit.
I mean, where were you at that point?
Were you
in total negative equity, or were you still sort of broken even?
No. Myself and a whole load of us, we were all in the same boat. It was sinking very, very fast. Now, this is the problem, Mongo, right? Nobody thinks the party's going to end. That is the problem. We think the party's going to go on forever. The sun's got to come up one time. The party's going to close down. You've got to switch the lights.
Yep.
And when that happens, if you're not prepared for it, you're in big trouble.
Yep.
People who've experienced cycles, so we've had, when I kind of lost everything, my health went downhill, I had to shut my business down. I had an office overlooking the River Thames, Canary Wharf, overlooking the O2. I remember one time the Rolling Stones, they were doing their sound check. I opened my patio door, I could hear Mick Jagger doing the sound check. You know, it was awesome, amazing. I just shut it all down. I scraped through. I mean, was very ill. Had lots of surgeries. Big learning experience. But I was like, why did this happen?
And that was in 2008. When did you
2009.
when did you realize why did this happen?
It was about, well, I had 14 operations in the space of 3 years. Almost died twice on the operating table. It was really, really dark time. But I had a lot of time to recover from these surgeries.
Wow.
So, what am I going to do, man? I'm going to be stoned on painkillers? All right, that's going to happen, but let me just research. And it turns out these events are cyclical.
Exactly. Every 10 years, like we're in one right now.
Yeah, so just looking at that and looking at the property market, which I'd always been led to believe was your strongest investment you can have.
Of course.
Yeah. Property.
Bricks and water, right?
Yes, I'm going to come to that as well. No safer investment in bricks and mortar. That actually got me my job in the firm of chartered surveyors. When I said that to the guy who was interviewing me, who's actually the head auctioneer at one of the auctions right now. Amazing man. But it's not anymore, which I'm going to talk about as well. Really, it's very important that we bring this to people's attention.
Absolutely.
I was always led to believe real estate is the one, but when I was in trouble, I couldn't sell my property because nobody was buying. So when it's a buyer's market, everyone's flocking to real estate.
Exactly.
When it's dipping down, when it's going down,
everyone's running away.
And this is not the US, this is not Canada. We're not realtors where we have the power, we have a documentation. We've got to do bloody searches and get this land registry and blah, blah, blah. On a good day, as you know, on a good deal, 3 months, 12 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks.
Absolutely.
That's if everybody plays ball.
Yep. My ex-boss once told me, he's like, you know, when I just started the job in 2008, so like the crash happened and I literally got into real estate.
Wow. That was good timing.
And, you know, like the first 2 or 3 deals, I used to come up and I used to say, like, I got like 2 to 3 back-to-back deals. Even I got the holding deposit and he was like excited and everything. And I went up to him and I was like, look, we've got the holding deposit. He said, listen, until the day the money hits your account, account, not my account, your account, the deal's not done.
Exactly.
And even though I got 3 holding deposits, I lost 2 of them. And he was like, see, I told you. So yeah. I completely understand how it works when it comes to deals happening and everyone playing ball throughout the time, 3 months, 2 months, whatever it is. But sometimes, you know, these things, even especially in commercial properties, they can take as long as a year possibly. You know?
Even longer. When you're dealing with FRI leases, right? You know, then it can stretch on because if it's a license, obviously that's done like that.
Absolutely.
You know, that's a quick done. Otherwise, the leases, yes, it can drag on.
Yeah,
it definitely can. But that's just the way our property system is structured here in the UK.
But and it's changing with all the planning sort of the planning legislations that are now in sort of they've been put forward in terms of build. Like people don't need to get planning to sort of renovate a building or refurbish the inside of the building as long as the building is intact, all that kind of stuff. So the reforms are coming. Do you think the reforms will also come with all these searches and land registry and all that kind of stuff? Do you think that there is a way forward that the government will sort of ease these points that sort of hinder a deal when it comes to doing a deal, especially for realtors like ourselves?
Absolutely. I think there's going to be a relaxation in every aspect because they've got to speed the process up. And as you know, all this paperwork, it just slows it down, it bolts it down. So there'll be, I can't remember, I read a few articles about how they're going to cut down some of the building regs that they've currently got. But I'm not too versed in that. My colleagues at my old colleagues at firm of chartered surveyors, they'll be more versed in the planning applications, strategies in there. But overall, as an asset, I've been gearing away from real estate since 2013. So I'm still a landlord, but I don't own as much property as I used to because I've looked at the cyclical events of these financial crashes.
That also affects the property market.
It always affects the property market. And this is how they get you in, right? They get fresh meat every time. The fresh meat was either too young to remember the last real estate crash, or they weren't in the country, right? So they're oblivious to these cycles. So they'll get first-time buyers incentives, less deposits. They'll get various other schemes to get the first-time buyers in.
120% mortgages.
All the rest of that business, right? And if you just look at real estate here in London, it's just ridiculously probable. It's going to correct now. But I remember reading an article about some people in Brixton, a couple in Brixton, and they bought a studio apartment for £450,000. I could not believe it. A new build. I remember growing up, you know, we would not head into that area now. Obviously, it's all trendy now.
Yeah.
But you know, when I started seeing prices hitting,
but it's not as trendy. I mean,
no, it's gentrified.
I wouldn't put it in the same box as East London. East London is becoming more trendier than, I would say, Brixton. Brixton still has the depressing looking council estates and loads of them around there.
Oh no, we've got plenty of that in East London. Come down.
I know. I used to study there in Barking.
I'll take you on a guided tour of them. I went to school just near some. There's plenty of them there. There's no shortage, but there'll be a conversion of that. You know, they're slowly moving the council tenants out because the property value is so high. But what's made me very uncomfortable about real estate, I'll just cut to the point, is that in terms of financial crisis, my money's stuck. My assets are stuck. Number one. Number two, prices of property, particularly in the southeast, are so high. It's not like the good old days where you can get a property, you can get a refurb. Once you take out all of your fees, you've got your rent coming in, you've got some surplus.
Yep.
You've got some surplus money. You don't have that much anymore. Exactly. Very rarely you're going to get that. Secondly, and also, you're tying up a lot of money, your deposit. Yeah, and I know ways, particularly because I'm in cryptocurrency and I've been in precious metals, but why would you want to stick 15, 20, 30 grand into a property and wait for how long to even get a sniff of that 15, 20, 30, my principal back, before I can start earning profit on it? Plus I've got the headache of a tenant, plus I've got the headache of anything that goes wrong with it. I've got to take it on board.
Can I just say something? If you're a seasoned real estate investor, don't listen to this. Don't listen to this.
Sorry.
Otherwise, my business is down.
No, absolutely not. The point I'm trying to make is diversification is the key.
Absolutely.
And my idea of being diversified back into, I didn't need to come across anti-property. Actually, I'm pro-property. I love it.
Yeah.
Because it's passive income, right?
Yeah.
But 2008, my idea up until then, my idea of a diversified portfolio was have commercial, have residential, have industrial, have some property in London, have some property in Bulgaria, and have some in Dubai. Don't worry, if the London property market crashes,
one of them will, the others will pay. Right?
It doesn't work like that.
It's all a cycle, right?
They're all connected, and this is what has happened.
And those properties fall even more than the London.
Even more. Yeah. They fall even more because there's no people really living there, you know. But back in then in Dubai, there are people living there now. There's companies there now. But back then, when I went, they were digging the foundation for the Burj.
Absolutely.
Not for the Al Khalifa Tower. So, you know, there was not much going on back then. They were still building the islands back in 2004, 2005. Damak was like just a few balls up here and there. But the liquidity is not there for my liking. I came across cryptocurrency in 2014.
Okay.
And straight away it appealed to me. I could see it for what it was, as a digital money. As you know, we're all moving to a cashless society now rapidly.
Absolutely. I mean, the off licenses that would not take card, or even if they were taking card, they would charge a nominal fee like 50p or £1 or something. It's like, yep. It's even if you're spending 50p in the shop, they'll take the card. Exactly.
The credit card companies have taken the fees away, you see.
Yep.
Because they want to move us to a cashless society. I'll tell you where we're going with the cashless society as well. Moving on. But in terms of cryptocurrency, I could see the potential. And the way even to today, I look at cryptocurrency is, imagine we're having this conversation right now, but it's not 2020, it's 1995. And I'm saying to you, there's this thing coming out called the internet. And you'll be able to use your phone to order a pizza, to order a flight, to order a taxi.
Taxi. Yeah.
You can even order a wife.
Yep.
Right? You can even order a wife on it. She'll be at your doorstep. Amazon will deliver her in 2 weeks. If you got Amazon Prime, she'll be there next day before 12 o'clock. Right? So you would have thought I'm mad.
Yeah.
Right? I remember when mobile phones come out in 1987, 88. My brother had a phone. It was big as a briefcase.
Yeah, those big ones.
The big ones, Motorola 8800s, 8500s, and before then they were actually a briefcase.
Yeah.
And I remember if you said to somebody back then, you know what, we're all going to be carrying these, you think you're crazy. And this is where I can see cryptocurrency. This is where it's panning out, particularly if you understand the technology.
Exactly.
So for me, I got into cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, when it was $90. I got into Ethereum when it was $40. I tried to persuade all my friends. I said, give me a few grand. I'm going to invest it for you. By the time I got to step 3 of explaining them, they're like, oh, it's a scam. We don't want nothing to do with it. I go, listen, just a few £1,000 I'll set out for you. So I got into crypto back then. Since then, I bought and sold 97 different cryptocurrencies.
Wow.
97 individual ones. I've been stolen from. I've been ripped off. I've been conned.
For ICOs.
I've done the ICOs. I've been hacked. Yeah, I've lost coins. I've lost wallets. Been through the whole cycle, and now I'm pretty bulletproofed. And also precious metals.
Do you carry them on your phone, or do you carry them in the USB, or they're on your? Or it's on your computer. One of the three, right?
It's stored in various places.
Okay.
Very, very secure places. I wouldn't suggest or recommend that anybody leaves them on their phone. Because if you connect to, say, a public Wi-Fi, then somebody could potentially plant a Trojan horse in your phone and steal it. So we don't want to hold that on our phone. However, I do walk around with some pocket change. I have like 1 Bitcoin on my phone and about 10 Ethereum.
Yes.
Just in case.
You're scaring me now.
Yeah, don't hold it on your phone, man. That's you're leaving yourself vulnerable there. Your phone, it sounds nice. So I've got a Bitcoin wallet on my phone. It needs to be on a cold. But I've also started I was looking at precious metals. I've been investing in precious metals, and I'm a strong advocate of these. So it's all about having a
So
balance
gold,
of
silver, nickel, copper, iron, all that.
Not as far as nickel or iron, because there's a surplus of that.
Yeah,
but there's very precious metals that you should be doing. And then from there, I know I'm rambling on a bit, but I'm just trying to squeeze in my whole life story for the past.
No, that's absolutely fine. I mean, coming back to 2020, right? I mean, sorry, let's go back a few years. 2017 is when crypto sort of boomed.
No, it was booming before then, man.
No, I mean, obviously, it was booming since 2008. I mean, it went to 1,000, then dropped to 500, went to, I mean, whatever prices it went to. I mean, I got into crypto in July 2017, and I
just
bought
when it was starting to go up.
When it was starting to go up. Actually,
right.
Not even July 2017. July 2017 is when a guy came up to me in my mosque, in my local mosque, and he said, Mortaza, you need to get into this Bitcoin. I was like, what's Bitcoin? And he's like, it's digital currency. I was like, all right, fine. You know what? It's a scam. It's all bullshit. It's all Forex and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. A few months later, I read it in the newspaper that there's this guy actually in Notting Hill selling his house with Bitcoin only. I don't know if you read that news.
I've read it all.
And that's when I clicked on. I was like, and that was still September. So I was like, I need to get onto this. I need to get into this. I need to speak to him. I need to open up my account, get my wallet, buy the bit. So I saw that boom. I mean, everyone says that boom did not happen because of public money. It happened because of the exchange and a typical cryptocurrency that we hear about all the time, Tether. Was that the case, or did that happen through the institutional money and people like me and you who invested our funds into crypto?
But there were a few factors which caused. So in my crypto journey, things were pretty stagnant, coming from about 214 up to about 216. 216, we saw a spike in the market prices, and that was caused mainly by Ethereum. Now, I went to Ethereum at £4, and I saw Ethereum go up to £330.
Yeah.
So that was crazy growth, right? And that was, please remember, this is when, and this period has been where there's been no financial crisis in the world. Yeah, and where people did not know about cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And what caused the spike was the EEA, which is the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance.
Okay.
Ethereum was smart contracts, and major blue chip companies, BP, HP, Microsoft, they started implementing testing on the Ethereum technology.
Gotcha.
Because they using Ethereum technology, they needed Ethereum, because that's how Ethereum works. And so the prices started going up around speculation. So that was the first peak. It went up to about £330. Ethereum went up, then Bitcoin went to about £2,500, £3,000.
Yep.
And then the second wave, what happened is that throughout 2017, there were about 5 people in the US, 5 individuals, and they were trying to establish Bitcoin ETFs. ETFs are exchange-traded funds on the New York Stock Exchange, where you can buy the fund, a parcel of the fund, and the fund holds X amount of Bitcoin. One of the very famous people, twins who are holding a group of brothers.
Yep.
So they tried to do that. And now the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission in the US, they refused all 5 licenses.
Yep.
In that space of 2017.
Yep.
And then coming around September, I'm just looking at the price chart right now as we speak. Yeah. As you can see, right?
Yep.
As I'm just looking at the price spike, you got it around September time, didn't you?
Yep.
So it was about £3,200.
That's exactly when I bought it, 3,250.
Here we go. So you're around here, right, August. So we can see up here, right? It's going to start to spike up.
Yep.
Substantially. So what happened between this period and this period here?
Yep.
What happened is that futures contracts came in.
Yep.
Futures contracts came in, which meant that people could actually short the markets, so they can make money when the markets drop. And so they started buying these shorts, and they started pumping the market up.
So the same mechanism that is used in the financial markets, like buying dollar, pound, euros, all that kind of stuff that happens.
That's what happened, and that's what caused that spike. And it was the big boys, they pumped the market out. Very few people I know got out at the top. Because, again, it doesn't matter what sector you're in, real estate, precious metals, classic cars, whatever. You don't think the party's going to end, but the party ends sometime.
Yeah.
The party ended big time.
The party ended big time.
I was going to buy a Rolls Royce with Bitcoin. The guy in Manchester, it was a gold Rolls Royce Ghost, gold plated inside, even had gold champagne. The guy he was in Manchester, he wanted 11 Bitcoin at the time. The biggest mistake I made was I asked my wife if I could buy it, and she said no. Now I know next time, if I want to buy a Rolls Royce, I'm going to ask her.
Just go and do it.
Just bloody buy it, man. I would have been sitting out there. Do you know what I mean? Come on, I bought $90. What's 90 times bloody, what? 11. That's like less than $1,000 for a Rolls Royce.
Exactly.
But you know, the prices, they drop down. But where we're at right now, which is I'm going to fast forward to 2020.
Yep.
We were due a financial correction anyway, and a severe one, because after 2008, 2009, they should have let the markets crash down and correct themselves. However, they didn't. They initiated schemes called that. Now, these guys who control the central banks, they like to give them fancy names. Yeah, they call it quantitative easing. In our everyday language, we call it counterfeiting.
Yep.
Yeah, if we did it, we get banged up. And not in the next prison where we got a key around our neck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We get banged up proper, man. You're taken away from the crown. So quantitative easing 1, quantitative easing 2, quantitative easing 3. They've had these in place. So that's a manipulation of the markets. So everything we've seen, again, they're just currency creation and they're throwing it in. And this does not end very well at all. The amount of money that was created between, I should stop calling it money, the amount of currency that was created between 2008 and 2010 in US dollar terms. More US dollars were created between 2008 and 2010 than had been created in the whole 100 years before that. So that's crazy shit, right? That's
Wow.
crazy. So that's how they kept the markets up. Stock markets have the appearance that they're going up, they're not. Housing markets, again, cheap credit is being given out, incentives are being given out to
Yep,
people.
yep, yep.
So it's all like an illusion, really. So that's been the one side. Since the last market crash, quantitative easing came in came in then. And now, this time around, it was unsustainable. You could only put so much currency into a market. Stock markets, which is what everything is pegged against, right? When we hear about stock market crash, if we know the stock market's crashed, then the rest of us are
Everything is crashing.
because all the companies are in the stock market, all the
Yep,
blue chip
yep,
companies
yep,
are in the
yep,
stock market.
yep.
So what they've been doing, they've been buying back their stock. And that's not how markets should work. The market should be determined by you and I. The free
Absolutely.
market, right?
Absolutely.
Not by people, companies who've been given money to buy back their stock. And it's just to keep the average investor
It's
in the
it's
dark.
it's the white collar mafia, right?
That's right. Absolutely, man. So I was very uncomfortable with that whole situation, particularly how I saw how bankers in 2008, they could bundle up bad debt and package it off. And then
Exactly.
especially seeing how they got off, no one went to prison, and how many hundreds of thousands of people were wiped out. You know, how many million people it affected, and I was a personal experience. So I was like, it's not going to happen to me again. So I've kept real estate, which I like, but not so much. I've kept the ones which are producing good income,
Okay.
and I will be going shopping again. But I strongly believe that we're going to be, what we've experienced so far in terms of market crash is just the beginning. And I look at cycles, and what we've been experiencing for the past 10 years is a model of United States 1920s, which was known as the Roaring Twenties, where there was a period of perceived economic prosperity, there was cheap credit, loans were being given out to everybody, everyone was prosperous, and the stock markets were going through the roof. And then 1929, with the great stock market crash. And the reason that happened was because in the time period between 1921 and 1929, 61.8% or 28 billion US dollars, which was a lot back then, it's a lot now,
Exactly.
but back then it was even more, right?
Even more.
28
Absolutely.
billion dollars was thrown into the economy to create that boom. And it resulted in the stock market crash of 1929 and then the Great Depression from 1929 to 1939. 20% of the US population unemployed. Fast forward to 2020, what's been happening?
We're doing
Since
the
the stock
same.
market crash in 2008, quantitative easing at a ridiculous level. Now we're at a point where it's helicopter drop money. Yeah. In March, the Federal Reserve government gave $2 trillion to US and said, this is, here you go for the economy. It lasted a week and a half. Then here's another $3 trillion. That lasted a few more weeks. And now they've said, we've opened up the book. Here's a blank check.
So take it.
You take it.
Put whatever you want. We'll print it.
That's it. And every single government is doing that. We are heading to deflation and hyperinflation.
So do you think that's the same case that we are seeing right now?
Definitely, it's cyclical.
And why is cryptocurrency or precious metals the best way to move forward to avoid yourself being a target of that crash?
Well, you're gonna experience some hardship regardless where you are. It's gonna affect you regardless where you're positioned, but you're gonna benefit from it.
But before you answer that question, I want to ask you another question. Is the crypto market and the precious metal market affected by the stock market as well? Or do they have their own separate brains?
They are affected in the sense that, I'll give you the example. During the stock market crash of March this year, which, by the way, the stock markets have trigger switches on them. We didn't know about this until 2016.
Okay.
In 2016, the Chinese stock exchange crashed 3 times in one day. They got trigger switches and they switched the stock market off. They actually shut the market down. So that's a stock market which governs 1 billion people, right, in China. And then you got overseas. At that point, it became aware to people who look in these areas that, hang on, if the market's going to crash, They've got these trigger switches built in. That goes all the way back to 2008, the subprime mortgage crisis, where in Switzerland they implemented Basel I, Basel II, Basel III.
Yeah.
Basel was a town in Switzerland, and the reason we had 2008 was because they didn't have their books balanced at the end of the day. So these systems were put in place, and the reason I know I worked for a financial consultancy in 2011, and we used to recruit people, IT engineers for Basel.
Yep.
So this meant that everybody's ledger was connected electronically. Everything was collected electronically, and if everything is connected electronically, then they can put trigger switches in place to stop markets crashing. So all the financial institutions are all connected to a central server now. So if there's any variation, they can get
and the crypto market and the precious metal market is all
that's
connected.
separate.
Okay.
No, that's separate.
Okay.
Then the point I'm trying to make is, in 2020, in March,
Yep.
the stock market shut. We found out for the first time that the US stock markets have got trigger switches.
Yep.
The first time they came out with it. And then they started coming public with it. They've never said it before. They said if it experiences X amount of drop, we close the stock market down for this period of time, 15 minutes. If it's this much, then it's this much, then we close it for the whole day. So that just goes to show that how manipulated the market is. Again, that's confirmed my distrust in that system, because we can't control it. With crypto and precious metals, let me give you an example.
Yep.
That is 1 ounce of gold.
Yep. No one can control that.
Who's in control of that?
You.
Me. Not no central bank. Nobody can dilute that. Nobody can put some tin in that or copper. That belongs to me.
Yeah.
But even that I need to talk about, because that has changed as well. Even that has changed. And that's some silver there. That belongs to me. Cryptocurrency, I had it sitting separately. In the 2020, when the markets crashed and the triggers went off, crypto markets did go down. Precious metal prices did go down. But why did they go down? They went down because people were selling them to balance the losses they made on the stock market. Because they were the best performing assets.
Got you.
That's why they went down.
Yeah.
Because people are like, shit, man, we're losing here.
So we need to sort of move that to the stock, sort of keep it all balanced up.
You've got to keep it balanced.
Yeah.
And that's why the prices went down. Moving on to the past 4, 5, 6 months. Yes, gold prices did go down. They dropped down. But the gold market is manipulated. And I cover this, by the way, I do 3 webinars on precious metals every Thursday. And I do 3 webinars on cryptocurrency. Absolutely free masterclasses, 7 o'clock on Thursdays. I can send you the link. I'll post it there so people can join there.
Absolutely.
This is information. This is life-saving stuff. You know, we're not taught this at school.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? And the wealthy are not taught this at school. You know where they learn it? They learn it at the dinner table. That's where they taught this information. So I had to learn the hard way, right? But when the markets started crashing and we had lockdowns, gold prices did go down. And a lot of people said, you see, gold is not good in this type of environment.
Fast forward 3 months later, all-time high.
But even between them 3 months, if you try going out and buying gold, you couldn't buy it. There was a waiting list of 3 to 4 weeks. No lie. What does that tell you? The prices go down because they're manipulated by futures contracts. For every 1 ounce of gold, there are 87 phantom future contracts out there. For every 1 ounce of silver, there are 174 phantom made up futures contracts out there. Paper silver, paper gold. And the prices of this paper silver and paper gold, they affect the price of the physical metals. This is how deep the scam goes. Because if they let precious metal prices go up with the rate of inflation, then people would say, why are we storing our money in pounds, dollars, or euros? So they manipulate these.
That is why the Middle East is where it is at today, because they wanted to be paid in gold for their oil rather than US dollars.
Do you get me? They know this is real money. That is real money. It goes back to
my live session is turning into a conspiracy theory.
There's nothing conspiracy about this. You can just switch on your report. Yeah, you can just switch on your news, and you can see the prices, how this is performing during this thing. And if you just look at how much, it's very simple research. You know, so everything is there.
I wanna just summarize this now. I mean, I normally do them for 30 minutes, but it's so interesting. I'll have to bring you on again to speak about it. But anyone who's interested in crypto, precious metals, do go out and check out Gurmeet Combo's LinkedIn page, Instagram page. Send him a DM, and he will send you the link for his crash course that he does every Thursday for these two topics. Coming to 2020. We are seeing the crypto market at that same sort of level where it was in August, September 2017. We've seen gold hit all-time high. What are your, I wouldn't say predictions, but what are your thoughts on where this market is going in 2020 or to the end of 2020? Do you think we're going to see an all-time high again in the crypto market, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, all that kind of stuff, or it's just another peak and then a reversal again?
We're at a very unique point in history. I just want to quickly show you some charts, right? So this is 20 years of gold prices. This is going back. So as we can see, on the 18th of January 2001.
Yep.
Right, 1 ounce of gold was £177. The highest it's hit, apart from today's peak, right, that where we're at now, was on the 18th of August 2012, and that was at $1,094. Now, that's not a bad bloody return, is it?
That is amazing.
And if we have a look here, let's go to the last quarter, because that's been interesting, right?
Yep.
The lowest gold had been was on the 7th of June. As you can see, 1,322. And then it bumped up here at 15,000.
Yep. 1,500. Yep.
And 75. And then it's gone down to 1,480.
Yep.
So if anybody's thinking about buying gold, my honest opinion is Goldman Sachs did a report a few months ago.
Yep.
Just trying to get myself back in my face. Goldman Sachs did a report, and they said that gold is going to hit $3,800 by the end of this year. So for a company like that to come out and say it's going to hit $3,800,
it is going to hit.
I personally feel gold is going to hit, I want to speak in pounds, not in dollars. I think gold is going to hit £67,000 an ounce very easily. Because gold,
you are basically doubling that what they have said.
Yeah, they're being conservative because they can't say that because they're who they are, isn't it?
So even right now, even at 1,400, is that $1,400 or pounds?
That's at pounds. Let's have a look how much it is in dollars. Dollars, it's actually gone up more in dollars. There's more of a jump. Let me just quickly show you the dollar chart.
Yeah.
Because the big money in the US, right, is priced differently. The lowest have been in dollars have been $1,685.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was on the 7th of June.
Yeah.
It's hit $2,000.
69. So even at $2,069, you invest it right now in gold, buy an ounce and keep it. I wouldn't say prediction, but that's what your thoughts are, where you think that it's going to go at by the end of the year is at 6,000.
Not by the end of the year. By the time we're done with this financial foggery, which is going on, this money creation, this inflating stock markets, once the real devastation of the lockdown period starts kicking in, once the unemployment really starts hammering in, and I mentioned the stock market crash of 1929 and the Great Depression, right? Yep. In 10 years, US unemployment went down 20%.
Yep.
How many months we've had lockdown? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, August. Yep. We're 5 months in. They're already at 20% unemployment. The last stock market crash, it took 10 years. So we're going to have devastation here. We're going to have companies closing down. If there's a second wave, the economy will not be able to handle it. I'm not going to go conspiracy theory and go down that road because I could talk all day about that. But this is a setup.
You and me both.
This is a setup, and it's been specifically designed. Every time there's a market crash, it's a transfer of wealth from the many to the few. In 1920s, US, The bigger banks will have the smaller banks on cents on the dollar. In the last stock market crash, the government took ownership of all the banks by bailing them out. This time they bailed out the corporations. If they bailed them out, they own them. Now they're giving small businesses loans without self-certification. I know guys who took out bounce back loans in March. They tried to get a £1,000 loan now in February, they got refused. In March, they took
Another
out
50,000.
£50,000. What the heck? They didn't even check nothing. The guys go, they didn't give me nothing. I go, I'll have some of that, I'll put it in Bitcoin. So there's loose credit going around.
Exactly.
I personally feel that gold will be a buy even at £3,000-4,000 pounds. Wow. Price of Bitcoin right now,
I think it's $11,000, $12,000. I think.
Let's have a look here right now. So here's my Bitcoin I'm looking at now. We'll speak in pounds because we're in the UK.
Yeah,
right?
9,000 pounds roughly.
That's pretty decent, right? I'm looking at here, like that's what we're looking at, 8889. It's gone down 2.4%, right?
Yep.
And on its longest term, we can see that it was beautiful. The 18th of December, it hit £14,585. Having said that, I sold Bitcoin for £19,000 then. People were paying at least £4,000, £5,000 premium, because that's what happens when the market's going up. You know, people get excited.
Yep.
So I personally see, this is what I like to say is, can you see, if I can get this chart, and I'll just finish up what I'm going to say about this, just to prove my point, what I'm trying to show you. This is a maximum view of the Bitcoin prices.
Yep.
If it can load up. All right. So can you see that? That was the peak.
Yep.
That was beautiful, wasn't it?
20K.
Right.
Yep.
Can you see that? Yeah. That little blip.
Yep.
All right. I guarantee you, and you can timestamp this, right? In 3 years' time, you see that?
Yep.
That is going to look like that.
3 years. 3 years time.
Within 3 years, that is going to look like that. And I can confidently say that now, because first and foremost.
So do you think that 2020 we're going to see the roller coaster?
I've written a book on it, Financial Protection Secrets Platform, what your bank doesn't want you to know. So our banks don't tell us stuff. But we're in a place now where people are aware that our financial system is coming towards its end. With the quantitative easing, with the currency creation, with governments throwing money around, 50% off restaurants. Who's going to pay the other 50%? Don't worry, the government will pay it. Where are they going to get the money from? They're going to create out in it. Exactly. Furlough schemes, £36 billion. Where's the money come from? The government's going to give it. Where are they going to get it from? They're going to create out. So for us, it's like, oh, very good. We don't get it, right? If you're somebody in Venezuela who had hyperinflation, if you're somebody in Zimbabwe who had hyperinflation 2007, in 2000s, they'll say, oh my goodness me, you are heading for a screw up here. And that's where this is going. These assets, cryptocurrency and precious metals, they sit independent of the financial system. There's a limited amount, which is why they hold their value. Certain cryptocurrency, I call them Bitcoin and friends, there's only 21 million in circulation. They can't be created out of thin air. Precious metals, only X amount exists on the planet. Only X amount can be mined. Currency, they can create out of thin air. Stocks, they can create out of thin air. Real estate, obviously, is a very serious asset to be holding.
Of course.
And it's a long-term investment. What's made me very uneasy about real estate, and this is going to quickly go back to the point, the phrase that you mentioned earlier, there's no safer investment than bricks and mortar. So I've done a video on my Instagram, please check it out, on my YouTube as well. It's called There Was No Safer Investment Than Bricks and Mortar. So because of the whole COVID thing, just going to show you an article, I'm pretty sure you must be aware of this. There we go, lockdown. Councils could bulldoze homes and crush cars contaminated with coronavirus under extreme threat of a second wave. Whoa. That means if they find out that you got COVID, they could come in your house and demolish it. How's it going to affect if one of your tenants has COVID? And a lot of us landlords, we're relying on our rental income, right? And a lot of tenants have said to the landlords, we're not paying. What are you going to do about it? You can't evict us. until the end of the month. So, you know, for me, that's a very, very big concern that my real estate asset could be seized and destroyed and taken from me. That's one aspect of real estate. Secondly, with precious metals as well. After the stock market crash in the US of 1929, in 1934, the US government made it illegal for US citizens to own gold. The penalty was a $10,000 fine and 10 years in imprisonment. So they had a ban on gold for 41 years. So with precious metals, they could come and they could say, in the US, they've done it once, so they can do it again. In the UK, they played it a different way. In March earlier this year, during the COVID first wave and the lockdown, they changed the law. It didn't even go through Parliament. And the law stipulates that if somebody's infected with COVID, they can come and take your possessions. If you've been in contact with somebody who's had COVID and there's a track and trace, they could come and take their possessions. And if their possessions are around your house, then they could take all of your possessions because they've been contacted. So I feel that that's the way that they're going to stop confiscating people's precious metals.
So do you think this is like daylight robbery out here from the white collar mafia?
That's what governments are, man. So they set everything up.
I mean, I thought that I was just thinking COVID. I mean, we're live right now, but I've got my thoughts about COVID and everything, but it's just what you're saying right now is just taking it to, it's just opened up the space even more in my brain as to where we are going with all of this and why people are still sleeping. Do you wear a mask when you go out?
I would never wear a mask. I call it a muzzle.
Thank you very much.
I need to see my fellow human beings smile. And I've got lovely teeth, look. I need to see faces. I need to see faces. I can't be doing that. I live near the forest. I see people walking with masks in the forest, you know. But it's fear. There's a lot of fear, and this is what is meant to happen.
Exactly.
But as I was saying, in terms of our assets, now the government has the right, not even your central government, your local council with a magistrate's order can take your property. Gone. What are you going to say to them? They're going to take it. Your possessions, your precious metals, anything you got, they can take it. Guess what they can't take? They can't take your cryptocurrency. Your cryptocurrency is COVID proof. Do you get me?
You're right.
They can't take it now. And when people realize that, that's when that peak is going to look like a blip.
But it's been so eye-opening talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing all that knowledge with us today. I mean, I have not done a 1 hour session. I used to do a 1 hour session when I started, like all that time, and just when lockdown happened. But normally I finish in half an hour. But wow, it's been amazing. But before you go, Gurmeet, I do this with all my guests that come on here. We've gone through so much from what you're saying, we've not even seen the negativity that is going to happen. So all this negative that's around us, what positive advice would you like to share with the world today so that they can take that on board and move in the right direction away from the white collar mafia's direction? What would you like to share with them today?
Question everything. Especially the mainstream narrative.
That alone is so positive.
Read that. COVID-19 contained framework, a guide against decision makers. Updated 7th August 2020. Annex 2.
Wow, I don't even have the time to read that.
No, you don't need to read that. This is all you need to see.
Powers to impose restriction.
All that governance or structure be destroyed. That was enough for me, man.
Wow.
You're going to take away my property rights now. First, you can come into my property and take away my assets, everything I hold.
And then demolish
now, not only that, you can demolish it now. And my car as well. I don't like that.
Good you didn't buy that Rolls Royce.
Yeah, can you imagine? My local councillor would be chauffeured around in it. No, I'll get the Rolls Royce. I'm just waiting for it to go down to £30,000.
But it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
Likewise.
I think this word, this narrative should get out there, and people should see why precious metals and especially cryptocurrency is the right way to move forward. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today, Gurmeet.
Maintain your sovereignty. Remember, you're only after one supreme power.
Absolutely.
That's all of us answer to. And by taking control of your finances outside of this corrupt system with precious metals and cryptocurrency, you cement your sovereignty.
Absolutely.
You're not giving your power away by participating in the financial system, which is rigged against us. We got to go to work. We got to work hard, and we got to earn. We got to pay taxes. They get away with it. The big corporations not only get tax-free incentives, they get offshore status. You know, out of the money that was dished out, £5 billion went to offshore corporations. How does that work out? This does not make sense. We got to look out for ourselves. And this is a community we're building, right?
Absolutely. And this is the whole point of me doing these live sessions with people like yourself, to bring out the positive, to show the world that, look, there is all this that is going on around us, and we need to come off it and make our decisions, the right decisions for us, not for anyone else, but for us. And thank you so much for sharing that with us today. It's been a pleasure.
You're very welcome. I love BTH Properties. Please, all your property requirements go to BTH Properties.
Thank you so much.
There. Real estate is all banging.
Thank you so much, Gurmeet. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. Wow. I mean, I've not had such a live session in a while where positivity, knowledge, conspiracy, everything all in one, and just to shed that light on where the very few that control the very many are taking us. Guys, wake up. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you to Gurmeet for sharing that with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to him. Thank you to all the viewers that tuned in. It's been an absolute pleasure. Do tune in again tomorrow, where I have other guests on board talking about their positives, their knowledge in their professional life, sharing that with us. Take care. Bye-bye.